Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about how we can implement geo charts in our web page. You can see here we got our map of the world, and here we can hover on each country that we want, which are highlighted based on their value that we define. And we can see more details in this pop-up tooltip that we got. And we can have our custom design on our chart too. So let's jump into code. Here we got simple HTML file as well as empty JavaScript file. In our HTML, first we're going to have our simple HTML template, which here we have this geo chart, and here we need to add this JavaScript file that we got here as well as our Google CDN link. So first, let's have our JavaScript file. So we use this script tag, and the source is our index.js, which is this file right here. And for the CDN, which I'm going to give you the CDN in the description, we have that here after our title tag. And for have our chart, of course, we need to have some tag. So we use our JavaScript to put our chart inside of the tag. So here we're going to have simple div right here with the ID of chart. And let's have some styles here as well. So we're going to have this style. We're going to make the width to 100% as well as height, which it's going to be again 100% too. And we're going to open our index.html using live server, which is VS Code extension that we have, which is going to refresh the page for us automatically when we have any change inside of our code. And by this, we don't need to refresh the page to get the results, and we have that automatically appearing and refreshing whenever we got any changes. Now let's jump into our JavaScript to see what we need to do here in our codes. First of all, we need to import to our Google Charts necessary lines that we got. And for better understanding this part, you can watch Google Charts video, which I'm going to give you the link in the top corner. Now here we need to have this Google.charts, and inside of this, we're going to use this load method. And inside of this, we're going to first have this current word as well as object, which in this, we're going to have our package, and that is going to be array, which inside of this time, we're going to import our GEO chart. After this line, again, we're going to use our Google.charts, and inside of this charts, we got this set onload callback, which is the function that is going to do and create chart for us. And here for the name, let's say here we got our simple draw func as our function's name. And we're going to create that function right here with the name of draw func, which got no parameters here, and its body. First here, we're going to have our data to set and later use in our chart. And for having this, we need to create this object using the class of Google.visualization. And inside of this, we got this array to data table method, which this method is going to receive 2D array from us, which means one array, and inside of this, we got a bunch of arrays as well as that. Pay attention that our first array here is going to create the structure of our data for us. For example, here, we want our first one to be this country, and for the second value that we have, data, let's say we got some items and some e-commerce website, and we want to show to our viewers on our webpage and website that how many people from where and which country have bought this product. So for the second one, let's say we got these people. And now let's come to importing our data. As we import the structure at the first array, we're going to have the country's name at the first and then count of the people. For example, let's say here in Germany, we got 35% purchased this product. Then let's say we got Spain, And pay attention, we need to put them in the string. And let's say in Spain, we got 40 people. After that, let's say we got this India, which here we got, let's say 60%. And we can use marks of the countries too. For example, here we can have this US and make this, let's say 98%. Then after this, let's say we got another one with this syntax. Let's say we got this France, which here we got 20 people. And let's have another one, for example, Russia. And here we got 45%. And this is what we need to set our data. And after this, we're going to have our options, which is again object. But for now, we're going to make this empty. And after we created our base chart, we're going to come here and use our option object to customize and change the style and structure of our chart. So here, after we defined our data, we're going to create another object here. Let's say we make the name to the chart and we use this class of Google Charts that we have imported, which is this Google.visualization. And here we got this GeoChart method, which is constructor of this class. And here what we need to pass here is this element that we just got created here in our index.html. And we select that by using this document.getElement by ID. And here we pass the ID for that, which here is going to be the ID chart. And here we put this chart, which if you want to learn more about this accessing HTML DOM, you can click on the top corner card and you can watch that video too. And here we use our objects right here. And inside of that, we got this method of draw. And this is going to receive two parameters from us. First one is being this data, and second one is being this option. Actually, we need to make this options, but this is only the name. You can put any name that you want. Let's say you might want this to be simple this A. You can do anything that you want. And now if we bring our web page right here, you can see that we got some data and some charts right here. That the countries that we have defined are going to have this kind of color based on their value, and how large is the value is going to be that much of more color it's going to be take. But let's style this chart because we don't want our chart to be like this. So let's say here we got both of our code and our chart right here. And here we can work on our options. The first property that we have in our options is going to be this width property. And here we can define how much width that we want our chart to be. And here we need to pass the number, and our chart is going to take those number of pixels. For example, if we put 500 pixels right here, you can see now our chart take 500 pixels. And as well as this width, we got this height too, which here again is going to specify the chart's height for us. For example, if we make this 200 for the height, you can see now the height of our chart is going to be 200. And of course, we can have both of them working with together. If we comment these out or make these as auto, it's going to be calculated automatically for us. After these two items that we got another property with the name of background color. And by using that, we're going to change these parts of the chart that are empty and not countries. And we want to change color of them. And for that, we use the symbol background color. And here we can have two options. First one is going to be any color that we put right here. For example, let's select some color that you can see anything. Here you can see we make all of the background to this red, or maybe you want this to be blue or anything that you want. But another thing that we can have is having object here instead of this color name. And here inside of the object, we got three items that we can work with. First one is going to be this fill, which is as same as we did with simple string here, which here we can pass the color and we can pass the hex code of that. It's not just the color name. For example, let's say we want our background color to be something like this. And then after this, we're going to have another item here in our background color object, which is this stroke width. And here we can pass the width for our stroke, which is going to be contain our chart. What I mean is it's going to be a stroke around of this background and this chart. For example, let's say here we want 5 pixels of stroke. And then at the last, we want to set the color of the chart border and stroke right here. And for that, we need to have this stroke. And here, let's make the color of our stroke to be black. And now you can see we got our stroke and border around of our chart. After this one, we're going to talk about this little thing that we got here in our chart. And how we're going to change that, we're going to have another object here in our options with the name of color access. And here inside of that, again, we got some values that we can work with. You can see here our value started from number 20 and go on until number 28. And that is because of our data that we put here. The lowest value is number 20. And the highest value is this 98. And these items are be placed based on these data, which first one is being the lowest value and this one is being the highest value. But we can change those items too. Let's zoom here so we can see that too. And here in our color access, if we want to change this mean value that we got right here, what we need to do is by having this mean value right here and pass the number that we want our mean value to be. For example, if we put this number 0 here, you can see now this time we started from number 0. Or we can have start from number 50. You can see here now this time we got this number 50. And pay attention by changing these numbers from mean value and max value, because the color access data is going to be changed. The coloring on our chart is going to be changed too. For example, if we have this 0 right here, you can see we got this color. But if we got this 50 here, you can see we got some different colors. And as well as this, we can have some negative colors too. For example, here you can see we got this minus 50 as our starting and mean value. And as I told you, and we got done with our mean value, we can do the same things with our max value too. And again, here we can pass the numbers. For example, here, if we put this number 100, we got this result. If we put this 150, we got this result. Which again, here we're going to stay with this 100 and 0 for the mean value. After these two items, we can define the color access too. And how we're going to do that, here we need two items to be able to change the color. Which first one is going to be this values, which is this simple array. And then after this, we got this colors array, which here in this values, you can see here in our chart, you can see that we got this white color here in our 0 and we got this green color on this 100. And here we got the values of 0 and 100 as default right here. But here we can change the color for them. For example, here if we remove this 0, you can see we don't have that 0 coloring right here. So we need to have at least two of them. And for the color, we can define whatever color that we want, but pay attention, the first value's color is going to be the first color and second value's color is going to be second color. And the color of the items and the countries that we got right here is going to be calculated based on this gradient that we got here in our color axis. For example, for the start, let's say we want our 0 to be red and we want our 100 to be black. So this is what we got. You see that our 0 color is going to be pure red and our 100 color is going to be pure black. But here you can see how our country's color has changed based on their own value, which US with the people of 98 and value of 98, which is very near to black, so we got this very dark red here. And for example, let's say this France with 20 people is going to be very low, so it's going to be near to 0 and be more near to red than black. And if you want to see the mid value here too, you can have, for example, this 50 right here as value, and as well as that, we can have, let's say, this green. So we can have this value, which this green, you can see this 45 is very near to 50, and because of that, this is going to be seen this kind of green, as well as this India. And if you look here in this part, we got some calculation here. You can see where our Germany is. You can see here in this part of our color axis, as well as France being there and Spain being there. And this is how we can change the color for our chart, which here I'm going to use only two values right here. And for the coloring, I want our base color that we got as a 0 to be this gray, and the next color that we got for this 100 to be this blue. But you can see here, we got some other countries right here that they don't have any data, but all of them is going to be in this white color. And if we want to change that one too, here after we got our color axis, we get out of this color axis object, and here we got another property with the name of dataless region color, and here we can define the color for them. For example, let's say we want them to be red so we can see them how it's going to be changed. This is the other countries that we got with no data and no values. And of course, you can use any color right here. Let's say here, for example, have this dark gray. You can see we got these countries to be this color. But in some cases that, for example, we import our data from some APIs that we got some items of our data to have only the country's name and not the value. For example, let's say here we have this Canada with the name of CA. If we pass the value of, for example, 50 right here, you can see this got this color. But if we got this null value right here, you can see it's going to be this green color. And for changing that and to be the color that we want, here we got another item with the name of default color. And here we need to pass the color, of course, for the countries that the value is null or unspecified. And for example, here, let's say we got this red. You can see here we got this red color. And if we have any other items here to be value of null, you can see that item is going to be red too. After this, you can see here when we hover on these items that has some values, we got this tooltip and this interactivity that even if we come on the countries with no values, we can see still this highlights right here. And for disabling that and the tooltip, we can have this enable region interactivity. And if we make this number 0, you can see when we hover on these, nothing is going to be happen. But if we have this to be number 1, when we hover, we got this highlight around the countries and this tooltip appearing and showing some additional data for us. Then after this one, here we got another thing that we can change, which is the version of our GEO chart. And that is going to be in this GEO chart version property. And you can have this version 11 or version 10 based on what you want to use and which one you prefer. Then after this item, let's say here we got this width to be auto, but our height to be 100 pixels. You can see that we got this kind of chart. Or let's say we want to have this in 300 pixels. You can see that we got our countries and map right here, and we got some empty spaces right here. And that is because of the aspect ratio that we got in our settings. And if we want to disable that, here we got this value and property of keep aspect ratio. And here, if we make this disable, you can see our map has been stretched and we got this kind of map. But if we make this number 1, you can see we got this kind of map. And if we make our height to the auto, it's going to automatically calculate and keep aspect ratio for us. So this doesn't matter to have value of 0 or 1 when we got our width to be auto. After this, we're going to talk about again this access, but not only the access and the formatting form of this item right here. And for doing that, here in our code, we got this object of legend, which this contains some other properties. For example, for the coloring these two numbers that we got right here, if I zoom a little bit, you can see that we got this black color here in our numbers. And for example, for changing these colors and these text styles that we got right here, we got another property right here with the name of text style, which is another function itself. And here we can have, for example, this color and make these numbers color whatever that we want. For example, if we make this blue, you can see we got this color, which let's say here we use this dark blue as our color. Then after this, we can use our font name here to change the font of our numbers. For example, if we use this mono space right here, you can see how it's going to be changed and be in that font, which we want to stay with the default font that we got. Then we got this font size, which is going to define how big we want our items to be. And this is the number in pixels. So let's say we want this to be in 35. Here you can see we got this kind of bigness in this area, or we can make this 30, for example. This is looking good too. And after this, we got to another styling items of this being bold, which if we want this to be bold or not, let's say we want them bold. You can see we got that. And as same as this, we have another one with this italic, which if we make this 1, you can see that we got those items in italic mode. After this item, in some cases, we don't want to show all of the world in our chart. And we want only, for example, the US country to show, or only Europe or Asia that we want to show. In those cases, after we finished our legend right here, we're going to have another property right here, which the name is going to be this region. And here we can define where we want our chart to show to us. The default value is going to be this world, which is going to be show all of the world for us. But if we want some countries right here, for example, let's say we want to show US here. Here, if we put this US, you can see we got this US map right here and no other things. As well as this, we can have, for example, this FR as France. So we got this. We can have this RU as Russia, for example. We can have this IN as India, or we can have some other ones which are not highlighted and those have any values. For example, here, if we select Iran, you can see this has no values, but still we can show this. And as well as showing these countries, we can show the continents too. For example, if we want to show the Asia, here we need to use the code for the Asia, which is 142. And you can see this time we got the look of our Asia. And as well as this, if we want, for example, show Europe, we have this 150 to show that part of the map. And what the numbers that you might say here, if you come to this simple Google charts and come to this GEO chart that we got here, if you come to the bottom of the website, you can see this table of the countries, which subcontinent and continent codes on them. For example, if you want to have this part of Asia, for example, you can copy this 034 here. And if you put this 034 here and come to your chart, you can see this time you got this place shown to you in your map. But we want to stay with this world, which is this default value that we have. After this one, we're going to talk about this tooltip that you see when we hover on the countries with the value that we got this appearing. And for changing settings of that, here again we got another object with the name of tooltip, which this has some items inside of it. Which here in the tooltip, again, we're going to have this text style property for styling the text inside of our tooltip. And for a start, let's say we want to change the color to the red so we can distinguish that. And here you can see when we hover, now the color of the tooltip's text is going to be this. As well as this, we got the font name to be whatever that we want. For example, let's say we want this to be this monospace. And now if we hover, you can see we got that font here. Then we can change the size of that with this font size. Let's make them, for example, again 30 here. After that, we got again 2 items of the bold. So if we want them to be bold or we want them to be italic or not. Now you can see with this result, we got this such a tooltip. And if we make them bold, for example, you can see here we got bold. If we get rid of this font, so we got our regular font, we can have them to be italic, and we can do whatever that we want based on our desire. And for the color here, let's say here we want to make this dark green. And now when we hovering on these items, you can see we got this tooltip. But as you noticed, we're going to see this when we hovering on countries. But in some cases, we want to only have this tooltip when we click on some country. And for having that one too, here in our tooltip object outside of our text style, we're going to have another property with the name of this trigger. And here we can have 3 mode, which the default one is going to be this focus, of course, that when we hover on these, it's going to show this tooltip for us. We got this none, which in this type, we don't have any tooltip and we only got this highlighting stroke around of the countries. And the last option that we got is this selection. And by this, you can see when we hover on these items, we got no tooltips. But when we click on one of these items, we got this tooltip. And when we move our mouse around, it's going to stay there until we click some other where in the chart. And we can have that on all of the items that you can see right here. Please give a like and subscribe if the content is useful, and give me any questions that you might have, and I'll be answer that as soon as possible. Please give a like and subscribe to catch next videos.